Hey, we are in week 4 of the One Story Plan, and today we'll be talking about day 16 in the One Story calendar. We have some awesome guests with us, and we hope you enjoy this week's podcast.
2, 3, 4.
What's up, guys? This is Kyler with the Grace Kid Podcast, and we are back, and I have some special guests with me, and they are going to introduce themselves.
I'm Jayda, I'm 10, and I'm in 5th grade.
I'm London. I'm 9, and I'm in 3rd grade.
Are you sure you're 9?
Yeah, I'm
sure.
positive.
All right, so as usual, we are going to start with our question of the day. And so, Jayda, what is our question for the day?
If you had to move far away, what questions would you like answered before you left?
All right, so ask the people next to you who you're listening to this with, and we will be right back with our answers.
1, 2, 3, 4.
All right, we are back, and we have thought of our answers. And so, London, what were some of the questions you would want answered before you leave for a faraway place?
Are we buying new clothes?
like you would want a whole new wardrobe for your
Yeah.
trip? Yeah. What about you, Jayda?
Would I have any family where I'm moving?
Yeah. Why? Why is that?
So that I wouldn't be alone, so that I'd have someone to be with.
Yeah, that's a great question. I think my question would be like, why? Why are we going to a faraway place? Or maybe like, where are we going? Like maybe some of those questions I would want answered. But it actually reminds me of the person we are going to be talking about today. So, drum roll, please. Abram!
Ham!
Yeah, Abram and Abraham, same person. And so let's get caught up to where we are. So if you've been listening, you'll know where we are. But if this is your first time listening, we are in the book of Genesis. And we have so far covered creation. We saw God create the world in 6 days, created everything in 6 days. Then on the 7th day, he rested. And then we talked about the fall with Adam and Eve. And then we learned about Noah and the flood. And so where we are at now is that they get off the ark, the boat, so the world like soaks up all the water, and then they just start to repopulate the earth. So this person, we have like a whole genealogy in Genesis where it's like this person had this person, who had this person, who had this person, who had this person, who had this person. And then we get to a person named Sherm. It's kind of like germ, but Sherm. And then we have Terah, and then we have this guy named Abram. That's right. And so we're going to read about Abram in Genesis 12, verses 1 through 4, to try to get an idea of what we can learn more about God and what we can learn about what we should do because of what the Bible says. So it says this in Genesis 12, verse 1 through 4. The Lord had said to Abram, "Leave your native country, your relatives, and your father's family, and go to the land that I will show you. I will make you into a great nation. I will bless you and make you famous, and you will be a blessing to others. I will bless those who bless you, and curse those who treat you with contempt. All the families on earth will be blessed through you." So Abram departed as the Lord had instructed, and Lot went with him. Abram was 75 years old when he left for Haran, and that is old.
Very old.
Yeah.
Very.
Okay, so let's think about what this just said. So he said to leave things behind. What were the things that God told Abram to leave behind?
To leave behind your country?
Yeah, like where he was from. He said leave it behind.
He left relatives, father's family, and pets.
Pets? What kind of pets did he leave behind?
Dogs and maybe big cats.
Big cats like lions and tigers?
No, chubby ones.
Chubby cats? Hey, he totally could have. Maybe they were in his father's family or something. And so he leaves all this stuff behind because God tells him But then God also makes these promises to him. These like, I will statements. So what are some of the things that God said that he would do?
I will bless you and make you famous.
I will make you into a great nation.
Yeah. Which are like pretty big promises. Like if God told us that today, like, I'm going to make you into a great nation, we'd be like, what? Excuse me? A great nation? Those are big promises. But he also says that he didn't even tell him where he was going. He said, and go to the land that I will show you. That's just like our question that we were talking about earlier today, or earlier in the podcast, that like, if you were going to a place that you've never been before and it's far away, what questions would you ask? I would probably ask where I'm going. And I wonder if Abram was asking the same things. But what are some of the things that we know about Abram?
That Abram's name changes to Abraham.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Abraham has a son named Isaac. He was really old when he had him too.
Yeah.
And that he is the father of faith.
Yeah. And we learn that he is the father of faith because even in the New Testament, it talks about him, which is pretty crazy. And even today, we're still talking about him. He was probably, 6,000 years ago when he was alive. And we're still talking about him, which is just like the promise. Like, I will make you famous. He's still famous. We still talk about him. But here's what it says in Hebrews 11, verse 8. It says, it was by faith that Abraham obeyed when God called him to leave home and go to another land that God would give him as his inheritance. And Abraham, he went without knowing where he was going. That takes a lot of faith. Have you guys ever, maybe like your parents, maybe they were like, hey guys, get in the car, we're going somewhere. Have they ever said that to you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And like, it's easy to do what they say because like you know them, you trust them, like you love them. So when they say that, you just hop in the car, right?
Yeah.
Well, Abraham, he really took a step of faith because there wasn't like a billboard sign with an ad on it saying like, trust God, follow God. Like he took a step of faith and went with it because of these promises. And he believed in the promises. He had faith that it would happen because in verse 4 we see, it says, so Abram departed as the Lord had instructed. He did what he said. And so with this whole lesson, what are some of the things that we learn from this story? What does it tell us about God? How do we apply it?
That you should always have faith in God.
You should always trust God, and he fulfills his promises.
Yeah, that's really good.
And that he is a promise keeper.
Yeah, he is a promise keeper. It makes me think about like later in the story, we see that God tells Abraham that he is still going to have a son, even in his like really old age, kind of what you were saying, London. And he ends up having a son named Isaac.
Yeah.
And it was in a very old age, but he kept his promise. He is a promise keeper. And so with that, how can we challenge our listeners to maybe do something or maybe like think about something? London, what's one way that we can challenge?
If you don't know what to do or trying to decide between this or that, ask God.
Yeah, how do we ask God? Like, what's one way that we ask?
You can pray.
Yeah. And prayer is just one way that we talk to God, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What else? How else can we challenge our listeners?
You can memorize a promise from God, like God is with you and will never leave you.
Yeah. And these things we can hold on to when like hard times come. Like Abraham went through some hard times, like remembering the promises that God gave him, probably just like in this very first beginning, like, I will make you into a great nation. He probably held on to those promises even when times got hard. And so that comes to the end of our podcast. So thanks for listening. And we say bye.
Nothing compares to living life with you. Life with you. Nothing compares. Nothing
If you would like more resources regarding the One Story Plan, go to visitgracechurch.com/onestory. And if you'd like more resources for your kids, you can go to visitgracechurch.com/kids. We also have a YouTube channel, and you can find it by searching Visit Grace Kids on YouTube. If you like this podcast, we would love for you to like, subscribe, share, and leave us a comment. We'll see you soon.